Morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. Kindly confirm if you are in the group. Confirm if you are in class. Thank you, Ndieki. Thank you, Lucy. Confirm if you can see the notes in the screen. If they can see the notes, you can write the word clear. If you can see the notes, you can write the word clear on the screen. Confirm if you can see the note clear. Good, good, good. Thank you very much. So we want to start. In paragraph 2, definition consideration and definition consideration paragraph 1 the acquisition consideration given an event of the which okay, so we were remaining with a small part of this unit, which is basically we are supposed to look at the levels of management. The upper part of this topic we had cleared, and we say that this remaining part, we should look at it today and clear. So we are not going to take so much time because the part that's remaining is not so long, but it is equally very important that we understand it well. Thank you very much, Remolinga. Can see you've written hello. I don't know if you have a question before we start. I think you've just joined there. So thank you very much for, you're good, Remolinga, we are good, you're good. Thank you for that, at least confirming that you're in the group. Now, let's go to this subtopic on levels of strategic change. Now, anytime we talk about strategic change, anytime you hear about the word strategic being used somewhere, you must know that that is basically making a decision that concerns how a company is able to compete in the environment. These are basically tactics that should ensure that what. So in the modern business, we don't just make what's called a change. We make what is called strategic change. In the modern company, we don't just manage. We talk about what? Strategic management. In the modern company, we don't talk about just financial management. We talk about what? Strategic financial management. Means what? Whatever we do in all aspects of the company should be able to make the company more competitive. That's why the word strategic comes in. Right now, there's even a course called strategic management. You can do it at bachelor's, even at master's, and even what? At the PhD level. Basically, what? Strategic aspect of every management sphere is very important. So let's start by defining strategic change. So we say this, that we introduced by saying that levers of strategic change, we talk about levers, not levels, but levers. So levers of strategic change are mechanisms, actions, or tools that one should use to implement and accelerate transformation. So now transformation is what's called a change. So when we talk about implement and accelerate transformation, means implement and accelerate what? Change in pursuit of their long-term strategic goal. So anytime you see strategy, it's about look at the vision of the company, where the company want to see itself in the long run or in the near future. Now, let's look at some of these levers. What are some of these strategic levers? What are some of these key strategic levers that are able to help the company move towards what? Achieving the company objective. Now, the first one is leadership. We cannot be able to achieve long-term objective of the company if we don't have good leaders. So that visionary and transformative leadership help articulate the direction of change and motivate others. So if you have visionary, means the people that look at the company in the long term, and then they're transformative, they're accepting changes, they are trying to ensure that what they can be able to accommodate and work with changes. Leaders help articulate. That means what they help to set the pace on where the company wants to go in future. If you have leaders who are not visionary, leaders who are not transformative, then basically your company will keep on stagnating, or the performance of the company can even what? Go down. The second one is communication, very clear. For you to be able to, this is a lever of this one is also a very important lever of strategic change, communication. Need to what? So clear, timely, and persuasive message to ensure alignment and minimize resistance. We say, when you talk about causes of resistance, one of them was what? Lack of communication. So if you want to bring a change is going to bring some transformation. And if you don't communicate it clearly, timely, and also persuade other members of staff to adopt it, then basically you are likely to face. So these are levers. So when you have clear, timely, and messaging, you'll be able to ensure that what you achieve the goal of the company. So that people resist change sometimes because what? They don't understand how the change is going to affect them. So when you are able to communicate, let them understand, then basically they'll be able to what? They'll be able to work towards what? Achieving the goal of the company. Now, the third lever is called the organization structure. So the structure of the company plays a crucial role in what? In ensuring. So restructuring department roles and reporting lines to better align with what? New strategy. So when you want to bring a strategic change, first thing is you need to ensure that do what's called what? Restructuring. So talk about what? Restructuring departments. Maybe there's a department that you feel is not very productive. Then you can decide to merge them. So that's restructuring. Or you may find that what? There's a department that's doing a lot of things. So you can decide to what? Separate. So that you come up with what? A new department from the old department. So what happens? That's called restructuring. Leadership styles. So restructuring departments, roles, or reporting lines to better align with the new strategy. Means what? Look at your strategy. And if the structure you have is not able to support your strategy, then you need to do what's called what? Restructuring. So that you ensure that you have a structure that is supporting what you want to achieve in the future. That's another lever. Another lever here is the what we call another lever here is what we call culture change. Nowadays, companies are doing what's called cultural fitness or what's called cultural fitness assessment. They look at the culture of the company, what we call the principles of the company or the core values of the company, and then they compare with what the employees are doing to find out, are these employees culturally fit for this company or they're not? If you're contradicting the principles of the company or the core values of the company, then basically you're not culturally fit to be in that company. When you talk about things like transparency, customer focus, integrity, those are the core principles of the company or the core values of the company. If you are not honest, then basically you're going against the principle. So nowadays, at the recruitment level, there's something called cultural fit assessment, whereby they look at you and try to determine, will you fit in the culture of the company, basically. So look at that. So if you have people shaping organizational values and behavior to support new ways. So you must have a culture whereby what people are able to accept and accommodate new ways to ensure that the company achieve its objective. Another change lever is what we call performance management. So aligning goals, you must align the goals of the company, key performance indicators, appraisals, and rewards with strategic priorities. That means what? When you want to achieve certain objective or certain goals, you must ensure that what? Your goals, the goals of the company, your key performance indicators, and your appraisal are ensuring that what? You work towards achieving that objective. So your key performance indicators must be key performance indicators of the goal that you want to achieve. Then another lever here is on policies. Another lever here is on policies and procedures. Another lever here is on policies and procedures, basically the policies the company has and the procedures. So that updating policies to reflect and reinforce new strategy. So that's very true. Sometimes you may find that the policies we have as a company are not supporting what you want to achieve. So what do you do? We need to update or readjust the policies and procedure to ensure that what we are able to achieve the objective that is set for us to achieve. Very important. And then number 7 is what we call technology. The technology you are using can either frustrate or support the new strategy. So technology is very important. What do you mean talk about technology? See that adopting new tools or platforms to support innovation, efficiency, or communication. So adopting new tools or platforms to support innovation. So the tools you're bringing, the platform you're bringing, the systems you're bringing should be able to what? Support innovation, which is coming up with new ways of doing things, efficiency, cost reduction, and also communication. To ensure that information flow within the company is top-notch. Number 8 is another lever here is called employee empowerment. You cannot go forward as a company if your employees feel like they're not empowered, if your employees feel they're not engaged, if your employees feel they're not involved in decision making. So basically, you need to empower. So giving employees autonomy. Autonomy means freedom. You give them some freedom, autonomy, some aspect of freedom, and responsibility to foster innovation and adaptability. Means what? Don't be so much a control freak. Don't micromanage employees so much. At some time, give them freedom to be able to express themselves so that they're also able to, if they have a new way of doing something that can help the company, let them bring it, discuss it, and see if it's working. So allow employees to be innovative. If you don't allow employees to be innovative, you'll keep on using what? Old traditional ways of doing or carrying out activities. Another lever is training and development. Another lever is on training and development. So it is called upskilling. Upskilling means what? Adding new skills. Upskilling means adding new skills. Reskilling means bringing a new skill. Reskilling. Upskilling means what? Maybe you are done up to some levels. Now you're increasing the levels. You have done up to module 1, then module 2. You have now module 3. Means what? You're upskilling. You are now upping your skill as you move ahead. Then reskilling means we drop that skill that you have and give you a new skill that is able to make you work in the company based on the new system, new procedures, and new so upskilling and reskilling employees to meet demands of the new strategy. So a new strategy may require you to upscale, means to update, to upgrade, or reskill means what? Get a completely new skill to be able to work within the new strategy. Another lever here is on resource allocation. So redirecting financial, human, and time resource to strategic priority. So it means, as we normally say that what? The resources of the company or the resources of the company are normally scarce. Companies have scarce resources. Now, because resources are scarce, you must be able to use them optimally. So that's why we talk about what? You redirect financial resource, human, and time resource to what? Strategic priority, things that can make the company move ahead. So you put more effort on them. And then we talk about selecting, another subtopic here, a small subtopic here, selecting a strategic lever. How do you go about saying that this is what you want to do? So look about what? Selecting a strategic lever in red. So selection depends on the agency of the company, agency doing something. Scope means and the nature of change. So if the change is very urgent, we'll choose a lever that's able to help us. The scope means area of coverage and also the nature of change. Is it strategic change? Is it management change? Is it a organizational structure change, basically? Then should you consider organizational culture, stakeholder interest, and so the lever that you're choosing, selecting the lever should be able to what? Should be able to consider organizational culture, means what? Should be able to help them or be in line with company culture. Stakeholder interest, the lever you're choosing should be able to ensure that what? All stakeholders in the company interests are taken care of. And then external influence. That's basically talk about aspect of the pastel, the political factor, economic factor, social factor. So those ones play a major role. So you must ensure that what the lever you choose is able to look at that. Now, then we have another small subtopic here on what we refer to as, sorry, that color is too dim. Color is too extremely dim. That one is not good for us to use too dim. So let me use this. Good. So that combining lever, say that most effective change strategies use multiple lever simultaneously. Means what? you don't use one lever. You can use several levers to ensure that what you achieve. So for you to achieve change faster, or for you to achieve change better, then basically you need to what? You need to combine different levers. So for example, leadership plus community plus culture change lead what? Strong transformational impact. So this guy is combining leadership as a lever, communication as a lever, and culture change as a lever, and this will help in ensuring that what? They have a strong transformational impact. Now, on the levers of change, on the levers of strategic change, are we together? On the levers of strategic change, are we together? Any question on the levers of strategic change? Any question on the levers of strategic change? We are good. So I can see people are saying no, means it is well understood. Tumeelewa vizuri. So that's okay. We move ahead and look at methods of introducing strategic change. Methods of introducing strategic change. So what this one means that if Lucy, you are the manager of a company, then you want to introduce a change, sorry. Sorry, so that right. You want to introduce a change. Which methods do you have? Which options do you have to ensure that what? You are able to introduce that change without bringing problems. So we want to look at some of the options that you have that can help you to what? Introduce a change. Now look at your company and then you choose a method that you think is the best to help you what? Introduce and implement a change. Now, introduction here. We say that strategic change involves significant alteration in organization's mission. See, a strategic change will alter almost the company's vision, the company's mission, the company's structure, system, process, and culture to achieve long-term. Means what? Strategic change are very, we call them destructive, means they destroy, they interfere with the status quo of the company. They bring what's called paradigm shift to ensure that the company now operates at a different valency or a different wavelength, basically. Introducing such change requires structured method to ensure effective adoption and minimal resistance. You see, a change that can interfere with the mission. Mission is where the company want to go. Can interfere with the vision, reason for existence, can interfere with the structure. These ones will bring some aspect of what? Discomfort. There's some employees that will feel that this change, the way it's coming, I feel it can affect us negatively. That's why you need to choose the right strategy or method to introduce this change. That what employees will be able to what? Will be able to accommodate the change. Employees are the implementers of the change. If they don't support the change, then they're doing nothing. Employees should buy into the idea of change and then implement. So if your employees are not supporting you, then basically you're likely not to implement a change. So that's why it is important that you understand what is needed to implement a change. Very, very important. So that's why issues like employee involvement are very important in ensuring that what we are able to implement the change within the organization. Very, very important. Now, let's look at these methods that you can apply to implement change. The first one is called top-down approach. This means you start implementing it from the top management as it trickle down to the junior level management. So say this, In top-down method, strategic change is initiated by senior management, means it starts at the top, senior management, CEO, MD, and all, and then communicated down the hierarchy for implementation. So the top level management, they give directive or what's supposed to be done, and then it is now implemented downwards up to the junior most employee. This approach allows for quick decision making and maintains control over the process. Why? Because when the senior managers say something, it's an order. So we implement. So basically, that's why this work is quick, because unaambiwa tu, this is direct from the CEO, do this one. So basically, everybody cannot start questioning it. They will implement it. However, it may lead to resistance from lower level staff if they are not adequately involved. So sometimes, even if you're the CEO of the top level management, when you come up with some change, the junior employees may frustrate it by saying that, hey, we don't understand this thing, we're not involved. What is this thing? So basically, this approach is good in terms of you can implement the change faster, but as also some problems because some employees down there may not understand the reason, so they may frustrate its implementation. Very, very important that you understand that concept. That's on the top down. Now, the second one is bottom up. This is now the opposite of top down. This is now the bottom up. We are very conversant with this term. Now, this method, this approach involves initiating change from the operational level. Means what? Downwards from the junior level employees, operational level management, operational level organization, with ideas and innovations coming from employees. So it means what? This change is initiated by the lower level employees. That's where it starts. It encourages ownership, creativity, and commitment among staff. So those junior level employees first, they will own that change because it came from them. It can bring some creativity because there's so many employees down there, and also, sorry, commitment among. So the staff will be very much committed. Now, although it is inclusive, that means the good thing is about it's inclusive means what? Most employees are involved. Go start from the down. You see, as you go down the company, we have more employees. So if a change comes from down, then basically it will what? Involve majority. So although it is inclusive, it may be slow and lack strategic alignments unless properly guided by the leadership. So although it's a good one, that's inclusive, but what? It may be slow. Why? Because some managers may still want to look at it before they now implement it. So it may take time. At the same time, it may not be in line with what? The strategy goal of the company. So the management will look at it and then try to streamline it to or to align it with the strategic goal of the company. That is called what? Bottom-up approach. The next approach is called participative, whereby you call people, you go to a meeting, and you try to discuss. So the participative method combines both top-down and bottom-up. So this is a hybrid of the two. This is a composite approach, has got the two. So the participative method combines both top-down and bottom-up strategies by involving employees and managers in planning and implementing a change. Both management, all levels of employees sit down, they participate, discuss to be able to what? Implement a change. Very important. This inclusive approach enhances engagement. Means what? There's constant engagement, reduce resistance, and increase the likelihood of successful implementation since all stakeholders contribute. So this is the most preferred approach because it ensures that everybody else is involved. So nobody will be caught unaware that, hey, what is this one? Because you have to go for meetings, you go for seminars to discuss the same thing as you want to implement. So basically this one, there's nobody who will say that I don't know what's happening. So because of that, it is likely to be the best in what? Implementing a change, depending on how you look at it. Another one is called incremental change. This is also very important. This is also a very good one. Incremental means what? You do change in piecemeal. Means kidogo kidogo. You don't bring an overhaul. You don't just bring a change at once. You do what's called incremental, slowly by slowly. So if you want a change to happen, you can give it even 6 months or 1 year. So by the next 1 year, then basically everybody else will have what? Will have adopted the change. That is what we are talking about in this type of change. So let's read what it entails. So we say that incremental or evolutionary evolving, when we talk about evolution, evolution is a gradual change. We say that human being evolved from the apes. We came from monkeys, gorillas, baboons are our cousins. That's what they're saying. So we at least evolved. So this one means what? If you want to bring a change, you can start the change from one department to another until you're done. So you don't just come and say that let's change today, by tomorrow this thing. No, you do what's called what? Incremental change. You come by. So this one is what? It's a little bit very gradual. It's a gradual change. Very, very important. Now let's look at what it entails. So this type of method is less disruptive and easy to manage. It allows staff to adjust gradually. It's best suitable for organizations. So basically, gradual change is what? Is normally considered one of the best because you implement change in piecemeal. So if the change backfires in one department, you don't go ahead with it. That's what's called what? Incremental change. Then you go to another one is called transformational change. You can also go for this method to implement a change. It's called it's called transformational change. So we say that transformational change involves fundamental and comprehensive shifts. Means it's a comprehensive, a massive change. It's something that you can see. Shift version what? Culture, strategy, structure, or operation. It is often implemented in response to external pressure such as what? Competition, advancement. So basically, this one means what? There's a complete transformation from how we start to the new change. The next one. The next one is called use of change agents. So you can also be able to implement a change by using what's called what? Change agents. Now, you say that organizations may use internal or external change agents who facilitate and support the change process. These agents are trained professionals or consultants who guide teams, provide expertise, and help overcome barriers. They play a crucial role in diagnosing problems and implementing tailored. So basically, when we talk about a change agents may be those people in the company that support the change, and they must be influential people, or it can be a consultant that is brought to help in what implementing agents. So you can decide, okay, with me, how I want to implement what? I want to use change agent. So I get maybe head of departments of the head of different departments, have them in a committee, then they help me what implement change. Or I can bring a consultant who is good in that area to help us what implement the change. The next one is what's called piloting and prototyping. You can also use this one as what? As a method of implementing change. It's called piloting and prototype. So piloting involves testing change initiative in a small scale before full implementation. So you want to do this, for example, that hey, this change, you want to go, sorry, you want to go, I have a very strong flu, sorry for that. We want to do a pilot, means what? We want to implement this change in a small segment of the company, or a small section. Then we see if it's good for that segment, it can be good for the company. So if it fails in that segment, then we drop it. That's what called what? Piloting, means you test it in a small part of the company, maybe a department or maybe a section to see if it's working. If it works well, we now go full blown. We implement the company. But if it brings some problems, then we stop at that level. So it allows the organization to learn, make and involve improvement and manage risk effectively. By using prototype or trials run, feedback can be gathered and used to refine the strategy. So basically, when you do this piloting, you do piloting to ensure that what you're able to implement a change well. On the methods of implementing change, any question? On the methods of implementing change, any question? Any question? Any question? Molinga is clear. Lucy has no question. Ondieki has no question. So that means that so let's look at from those methods of blending change. I want us to go to another subtopic here, which is about problems of formal change programs. What are some of the problems you're likely to face in implementing these change programs? Basically, coming up with the change is not an easy thing. So there are aspects or there are some problems that you're likely to face as a manager or as the change implemented in the company. So that formal programs, formal change programs are structured efforts designed to guide organization through a change process. So these are basically guidelines. So what are some of the challenges facing what in using these structured efforts to achieve change? Now, the first one is resistance change. So this one is very true that sometimes when you can have a very good program, then employees resist change. So due to what? Fear of the unknown. You said that basically the major reason why employees resist change is the fear of unknown. Means employees don't know how the change is going to affect them in the long term. So they are very cautious. Change of unknown, loss of job. Some of them can also lead to a job security, or disruption of routine. So sometimes employees, if you have lazy employees and then you tell them that from next week we are going to use biometric in logging in, you have employees that don't come to work early. They are people that arrive at 9, 9:30, and they're very comfortable. Now tell them now, from next week, we're going to use biometric reporting. The time you report, you put your hands on the biometric. Then you can see how uneasy some of them are, because it is something that was the culture they have. So nasikia mwingine anasema hii kampuni wameanza kutukazia. Some of them say that we don't like this manager, anajiona sana, you've been working like this. So sometimes when a change comes, people don't find it easy, because it alters. Because with the biometric, even if you are the friend of the manager or the CEO, if you come at 9:30, it will indicate 9:30. There are some employees that are covered by the senior people because they are very good friends of theirs. So even if they come late at 10, the manager will just cover them. Now, when you go to technology, there's nothing like covering you. The HR will see that so-and-so came at 9:45. At the end of the month, you can know that cumulatively, you've been late for 24 hours. So if you're supposed to be paid as per the number of hours, if they deduct your salary, then basically, you cannot have a complaint, because you're told that what? The number of hours that you've missed this month is 24 hours. And if you're working 8 hours a day, means 24 hours means what? It's like you've been absent for 3 days because you've become late. So there are companies like that. Anybody else in the such company whereby they normally calculate at the end of the month, unaambiwa umekuja late siku gani. So they normally accumulate them and tell you that what now, if you want to pay you, we pay you minus this hours. Anybody else in such companies? What I've heard about such companies? Wahindi wanapenda hii sana. That's right. Anybody has had such kind of arrangements, such kind of problems? Maybe a friend worker, mimi nimekatwa pesa ati nimeenda late for some time. Sema nimeenda late for like 10 hours in this month. So wamekata kidogo, wamekata pesa yangu. Anybody has had those ones? Kwani nyinyi marafiki zenu wanafanya kazi wapi? Your friends don't talk about these things. Ama mimi ndio niko na my group of friends are unique. Lots. People are quiet. You have never heard of this thing? Eh? Okay. Let's proceed. No. You have not heard about this? Lucy is saying that he has never had a company that is using biometric to reduce salaries of their employees at the end of the month. Unaambiwa cumulatively, you've been late for 10 hours. So we are deducting 1 day. from what you're supposed to pay you. Yes, it is there. Remuneration said that word. And so if you're going to be late or if you're going to not to come to work, basically you should make what? A formal communication. If you don't make a formal communication, that thing is going to be faulty. Yes. But you see, that's a good thing. The next thing, I've heard, but on salary, they work like that. But now, the other bad thing about this issue like biometric is that it makes employees become like robots. Because you know, reporting to work and actually working are two different things. Do you know that? Reporting to work and working are two different things. There's somebody who can report to work at exactly 7:30. At the end of the day, if you look at their productivity, it is 10%. Somebody comes at 12 in the evening when they're leaving, their productivity is 80%. So just seeing somebody coming early is not a measure of productivity. And employees are human being is made in such a way that what if you start micromanaging them, they start resisting. Nataka tufike 8, sawa tutafika, tunaona tufanye nini. Tukishafika tutafika story tu. So you start hearing such statements. Oh, sasa you want to micromanage us. You want us to be here up to 5. Acha tutakaa hapa mpaka 5 lakini tutakuwa nasikia muziki tu. So basically, as a manager, you must find a balance. Don't be so mechanistic in such a way that you bring systems that even discourage employees. If you look at some of the theories, there's somebody that said that word. There's a theory that said that word. As a manager, if you give employees freedom, they become more productive than trying to micromanage them. If you give employees freedom to do their work without micromanaging, they become very productive. But if you micromanage them, when you look at what they're doing, what are you doing now? Employees start resisting because that's how human being is made. Anytime you start following me up, then basically I start asking myself, am I not qualified to do this job? So basically, you must find a balance as a manager. You must find a balance. Don't just be a manager who thinks that, for example, there are people that think that, for example, if maybe my employer anasema ngati going to class is teaching. We can be in this class and biggest story at Manchester, biggest story at politics, other things for 1 hour. Then we learn for 1 hour and then we go. But I know for people like you, it's difficult because you people are people who are having targets, what you want to achieve with this course. So basically, you know. But if I'm teaching, for example, the young people doing diplomas, the 16 years, 14 years, all the way to around 20 years, those guys, when I start talking about Manchester, they're very excited. So we can talk about football up to the end of the class and then we go home. So if the manager was looking at me as terms of, Mr. Bernard ako class, Mr. Mundi ako class, hey, alimeingia class early na ametoka late. Kumbe, what am I doing in class? Basically, I'm discussing about other things. So basically, that's why managing an employee is very difficult because an employee is the only resource that is thinking. The only resource that the company has that as a brain is are employees. So your brain, there, some of them have got, their IQ is so high than you, even a manager. So dealing them. So as a manager, you must be very smart. You must be very, very smart. Good. Then that's number one. Number two is what? Poor communication. So if you don't communicate well on why and the need for the change, then you're likely to find what? A problem with what? Implementing a change. So failure to clearly explain the purpose, process, and benefit of the change. So if you don't communicate well, the purpose of the change, why the change is important, the purpose of the change. If you don't communicate well, the need for the change and the benefit the change will bring, then basically you may have problems. Some people will not buy into your change idea. Then number three is what? Inadequate leadership support. If leaders of the company are not supporting the change, you will find it difficult to implement the change. For example, leaders are the custodians of the resource. If you need money, they're the one to approve budget and give you finances. sign checks. Now, if they don't support the change, what happens? You may go there, request for money. We need this money for this ABCD. They just look at you. Now, how do you go about? You get tired and say that, I've also thrown in the towel. I'm not continuing. So when senior leaders do not actively support adaptability change program, employees may perceive the initiative role as an. So if manager, if my HOD is not concerned, why should I be concerned? So it means that this thing is not so important. If the top level are not supporting it, why should I kill myself in trying to support it? Then another is what? Lack of employee involvement. This is also another problem. If you don't involve employees in change, some of them may feel like that it's not part of them. Let those people think that is a good thing, implement because they don't know about it. They have not heard about it. You don't want to. They don't take care about their contribution. So sometimes you find about what? Lack of employee involvement can be another challenge. Another is what? Rigid structures and bureaucracy. Now, there's some structures. We say that sometimes a change can require what? A change in the company structure. So there are some structures which are very inflexible. Means that if you want to bring a change, you have to change the structure itself. So some structures are so rigid that they're not able to accommodate. So that can be your problem. And also bureaucracy. Just getting a document approved takes you 3 months. Perhaps just approve a document to implement something takes you 3 months. So basically, a lot of bureaucracy, go to this office, go this one signed, go and do ABCD, bring this document. You may find it until you say that, let me drop this thing. This thing is giving me a problem. So bureaucracy can be a problem. And then another challenge is what? Short-term focus. So some change can be short-term. So that some organizations focus only on immediate results rather than what? Long-term sustainability. This short-sightedness can result in temporary changes that fail to produce lasting. So sometimes the aspect of what? Short-term focus. So some companies have got what's called what? Myopia, which is called short-sighted. They look at the company by December, by May next year. They don't look at the company like in 20 years time, in 30 years time. So that short-sightedness of the company can lead to what? Can lead to frustrating what? Some of them long-term changes that can help the company in the long term. So those are some of the what we call some of the problems of formal change programs. So on the problems of formal change programs, are we good? On the problems of formal change programs, are they all understood? Kindly respond. Yes? Okay, so we are okay. So I think we are good. There's nobody with a concern on that area. The next subtopic here. The next subtopic is on leading change. How can you be able to ensure that what? You lead a change in the company. So we want to look at leading change. So we say this, that that effective leadership is crucial in driving change. So if the leaders are for the change, then it becomes easy to implement a change. So leaders guide, influence, and motivate stakeholders through the transition. So basically, while leadership is very important because what they guide, they influence, and they motivate stakeholders of the company throughout the transition. Means what? Throughout the change process. Transition basically means changing. Now, we talk about some of these leading change. Number one is a clear vision for change. As a leader, or as a manager, or as a leader, you must have a vision. Where do you want to go? So the change should be able to what? Help you move towards a common goal all the way. So clear and compelling vision help guide direction and change and align with those stakeholders. So basically, vision means what? So if you have a vision where you want to go, then everything you do or the changes you bring in should be able to what, help you achieve that vision. That's number one. Number two is building a guiding coalition. Means you cannot be able to implement change yourself. So you need to what? Come with a team, so a coalition. So sustainable change requires a team of influential individuals who support and drive the change. The coalition may include top executives, managers, and respected employees who can influence others. So build a team. Let's ensure that what you have a coalition of influential employees who are able to what help in convincing others to implement the change. Number three is communicating the change. You need to ensure that people know about the change. So it's about communicating the change. So we say that leaders must communicate the change initiative consistently and clearly across all levels. So people in the company should know about the change, from the senior most to the junior most. So effective communication help manage expectations, reduce fear, and ensure everyone understanding. So reduce fear. Sometimes some employees resist change because of fear. So if you explain to them, then basically that fear is minimized or reduced. Then the next is what? Is employee empowering employees. So leaders should empower others by removing barriers, providing resources, and encourage initiatives. Means encourage what? Innovation. This means allowing employees to take ownership, make decisions, and innovate within the change. So ensure that what empower employees that what they feel like what they have something to contribute to the change. And then creating short-term win. That means if we have a change, we're implementing a change, within 1 month, 3 months, 1 year, at least we must see something that the change has brought to us. Some of us may not live to, maybe we are retiring in the next 5 years. So we may not see the impact of the change in the next 20 years. But we should see that in these 5 years I'm in the company, can I see something positive out of the change? So celebrating small achievement boosts morale and demonstrate that the change is working. So if you see something that has been brought by the change, they say that, hey, this thing is good. You see, we put it last month, and this next 2 months now, see what we're getting more sales. That's a change. Then managing resistance. This is also a very important aspect. You need to ensure that anybody wants to resist the change, you manage them. So let's must acknowledge resistance and address it through dialogue. Tell people all the change is important. Empathy and support. Support people to implement the change. Then providing training and support. So sometimes people resist change because what? They don't have the skill to implement the change. So if you bring a new system, they don't understand the system. So it becomes very difficult for them to implement the change. So that's why sometimes you need to train people. So if you want to come with the change, train them on the new systems, that's what they understand. So when you bring the change, then they are comfortable working with the system. But if you bring a system and these employees are floating, they don't know what to do, then basically it's going to be a problem. Then anchoring change in the culture. So that's also very true. Means the change that you're bringing should be in line with the company culture. So to make the change sustainable, it must be embedded in the company culture. Leaders reinforce new behavior and values through policies, performance systems, and consistency. So ensure that the change you bring in place is incorporated in the what? In the company policies, performance systems, and even consistent modeling. Then last one is monitoring and adjusting. So basically, implementing a change is not permanent. We need sometimes to evaluate, monitor the change, and see if it's bringing us if it has got some positive results. There are some changes that you can put in place, and then it can give us a short-term positive. Then what later it starts giving us negative results. So we need to monitor. Don't just implement a change that say that iko sawa, wacha tu play. Don't implement a change then say that this is what the gospel. No, the change that you put in place, you should monitor it to see, is it still helping the company? If it is not helping the company, you go back to bring a new change. So basically, keep on monitoring and adjusting. So you don't have a rigid change. You can be able to adjust it as time goes, so that you're able to you're able to ensure that you're able to ensure that the change is positive. So keep on monitoring and adjusting. So you monitor and then you adjust the change to ensure that you achieve the long-term objective. Very, very important. On the leading change, any question? On the leading change, any question? On the leading change, any question? I can see some questions are coming up here. I think it's Odieki said that in building a guiding coalition, respected employees are there unrespected employees? We are not saying about respected employees, but there are other employees that are more powerful than others. It's about power. Those who are in a position to influence others. There are some employees that they may be at a lower level, but people hear them. Other employees hear them. So we don't say about unrespected, but say that what others could be more respected than others. Unrespected would sound negative, but is it that what some have got more influence than others, or some are more respected than others? So it depends on the level of respect, on the probability, the level of respect. Some have more respect, others may not have more respect. But we say that unrespected now brings negative connotation in. So I think we can use less and more respected, but unrespected will make us look like we are demeaning some employees, or we look at them like they don't have a say in the company. So it's about more and less respect. So you look at those who are more influential than others, and then you bring them in the change. So it's about what? More, not and. Yes, and we bring a negative, but more and less could, because it means what? The respect is there. But now the magnitude of respect is what we consider. So I think Kochi, that is okay. Odieki, I think that is a little bit understood. I can see you've seen it written okay. That is good. So any other question? Any other question? The floor is open for a question. Any other question? Any other question? Any question? Now we're done with the syllabus. We're done with the syllabus. So your work is also to go and pick the syllabus and go through it. If there's a part that I might have forgotten, you have a right to ask me, Mwalimu, kuna part nimeona hapa hatujakava. So I shared the course outline up there. Pick that course outline and your notes from chapter 1, the last chapter. Check topic by topic, subtopic by subtopic. If there's some part that by not knowing I've jumped, you can let me know. That's an assignment I'm giving you. That your work now is to compare the course outline you have and the notes you've been given from chapter 1 to the last chapter. And if there's some parts that you think maybe I didn't cover well, or I have not covered at all, that's something you want to tell me. So I'm giving that's an assignment for everybody. Lucy, you do it at your own time, or you do it separately. Remolinga, check on it. Lieki, check on it, so that when different people check on that, then it becomes easy for us to identify a problem. I may also have maybe missed it. So also help me. So that at least we are able to be at the same page. That's number one. Number two is now we are in the season of revision. And as I tell people that revision is as important as learning. So try as much as possible to find yourself in class during revision. Although we'll be recording, I know sometimes job and work commitments can hinder you from attending, but whatever we've discussed, ensure that you get the link, you go through them. In case you have any issue, you can always WhatsApp me, you can call, and I'll be able to respond. If you WhatsApp me, in case I'm in a class, I may take time, but basically I'll respond. So if you see me not responding, just know that sometimes I'm in class, and sometimes also we have so many students. So sometimes I may not see, but if you keep on reminding me, and if you call, basically, I'll respond. That's number 2. So ensure that what also, in case you get any question. Now we are now at, and when you reach this revision level, now everybody will move at their own speeds. Some of you utapata wameanza kuangalia past papers kwa maybe May 2023. He or she has looked at the past paper. So this one is different. Some people will move, but will move as a group, but also go ahead of us and start noting down some questions that you think maybe are not well answered, or the answers you are doubting. Look at that. That's what makes you feel. Yeah? Another thing is what we now have the questions. You call the syllabus, and the answers are also there. You can also pick time. For example, you can pick on August 2025 paper. Look at it before. Look at it now. How many questions can you answer? Because this PPM, there are people that believe that PPM is theory, ni rahisi sana. You'll be shocked that if you look at the trends, CPA, this is one of the use that people fail a lot. Hii ni moja yao. Kwa sababu gani? I think this is a theory. Hii ni theory tutasoma tu na wiki moja tuende kwa mtihani. So they give more attention to mathematical accounting units. Then you go to the exam, fail. Last time, I was lucky enough, or proven enough to ensure that all my students passed, those who came to class. So coming to class is a important. So that's another thing. Number 1, nimewambia muangalie hiyo course outline. Number 2, start looking at those past papers. Number 3, in case you also have a question that you think we can answer, may not be really in our past papers, but it's important. If you look at the past papers, I've been able to share both CPA and CS, because they are also doing management. So I've shared the 2 papers. If you go through those papers, I can tell you where do we set the questions for. We also look at past papers and just maybe edit questions and then restructure them a little bit. Where do you get questions? Where do you think markers get questions? You look at the past papers and just edit a little bit, restructure it a little bit, get question. So if you revise 10 papers, I can assure you, you can be able to watch. There's no question that can be challenging, maybe 1 or 2, but the rest are at least things you've had. So if you revise, basically, you're confident enough to go do that paper and wait for good results. I don't know. It is a question. We have now cleared the syllabus. Now what remains is revision. So I want to ask you whether we start it today, or I leave you go look at the syllabus, confirm with the notes, inbox me of any area that are missing, then we can start revision next week. That is a question I'm floating to you so that you can give me your vision, your opinion. That is now what is being discussed. Do we start today, or we start the next class? Floor is now open. Floor is open. People quiet here. Lucy, what's your opinion? Ondieki, say something. Remolinga, say something. Yes, so that means Lucia said you go through. Now, the catch here is that you must give me feedback. So Lucy will go through the notes and then tell me, Mwalimu, you have covered everything, or there's an area remaining. So that's an assignment nimepeana kila mtu. Kwa sababu naweza peana hii assignment, then mwende mpumzike tu. You remember that next week we'll go class. So kila mtu lazima atapata report. What did you find out? So that is Lucy's opinion. We go to Remolinga and Ondieki. Your opinions? Ondieki next week is okay. Remolinga, good. So I think we have agreed let's meet on Thursday with your reports on the syllabus coverage. Everybody will give me a report separately so that we can start. I know August 2025 paper is not there. I'm going to work on it and share it. So mtakuwa nayo by Thursday. That's one paper. Then we have several now. Hizo zingine mko nazo kutoka huko, I think from 2022. Nayo mpaka sasa hii. So if you're able to engage, look at those ones, we are good to go. We look at them from the, we are doing new syllabus. New syllabus ilianza 2022. So that's why we find that most of our revision start from 2022 there onward, because that's when they look at the syllabus. We are doing a new syllabus from that time. That's why look at. We don't go beyond it. The papers beyond it are also okay, but I will just look at from the syllabus. So with those remarks, have a good weekend. Take care of yourselves. God willing, we'll meet again. Thank you.